Hey guys, thank you for tuning in. Hit the subscribe button down here.
And he did my face, guys. He did my
He is
makeup.
amazing makeup. He is just wow.
Yeah.
Alright, so I'm going to start with my HD primer, which is a fantastic product because not only is it great for a combination skin, it also contains silk extracts. And what those silk extracts are going to do, especially under camera lighting, is going to reflect light and almost give you a slight blur on that area. Obviously around the eyes, that's exactly what you want, just to soften those little lines. So we are going to play around with that. Just give me a minute, I need to just... I'm going to use this stuff a lot, just because I'm a bit of a germaphobe. Okay, that's just our Cryocept, which is our hand sanitizer. Okay, so I'm going to take our micro primer, which is in a little container like this. And you really do not need a lot of product. Okay, that should be more than enough for the entire face. Okay, that's one of the great things with Cryoland is that you don't need to use a lot of product. A little bit really does go a long way. Alright, are you able to even see just the difference on the forehead there? Yeah. Literally how it just sort of mattifies and just smooths the skin. Alright, so we're just going to blend that out. We don't want to put too much product because that's not going to absorb into the skin and it's going to then leave a residue on the surface, which is obviously going to impact your makeup application. Okay, so we're just applying an even layer of primer onto the skin, working in a downward motion. And obviously being quite gentle, we are working with clients' face. Alright, and you see I've still got some product left over. Because you really, really don't need to use a lot of primer. You're literally just wanting to prepare. We are going to move on to the foundation. Now there are obviously several ways that you can do your makeup application. You can start with the eyes, you can start with the skin. It's entirely up to you. I generally find that if you are trying to really create a beautiful brow, I prefer to do the skin first. Doing the brow first and then going in with the skin, you're going to end up with powder on the brows and you're going to have to redo them in any case. So for that reason, I'm going to go with my foundation. And I think will probably be about a 134. Let's have a little check here.
What is this foundation you are using?
This is the Ultra Foundation. Okay, so we have a look over there. It's a pretty good match, right? Awesome. Okay, so this is Ultra Foundation in shade 134. And your Ultra Foundation is really a great product, especially for a normal combination skin. It gives you a beautiful natural coverage for every day that can be built up to a full coverage. Okay. Once again, starting at the top and working your way down. What's great about Ultra as well is that it has about, I'd say about a 70 to 80% coverage at a regular application. So you really don't need a lot of it if you've got a really good skin like my model does. Okay. Just very gently and very evenly applying the foundation. Who here has tried the Ultra Foundation? Yes, yes, good. This is one of my favorites, but my absolute favorite is the Dermacolor. Who knows Dermacolor? Do you all know Dermacolor? Okay, good. Alright. So So as you can see, this does give you a really beautiful coverage whilst not caking on the skin. And for me, that's something that I really try to focus on, is I really try to make the skin still look like skin. I don't like to create this heavy mask. Okay, obviously there's a time and place, but for me, wherever possible, I try and really focus on the skin just so it can look beautiful. You really do have such a lovely skin.
Yes.
Sorry if I stand in your way for 2 minutes. Alright, now I'm not usually one for applying foundation onto the eye. Alright, and I'll tell you why. With applying a foundation to the eye directly like this, I'm then going to have to powder onto the eye as well. Remember, every time you're adding something onto the skin, you're adding an extra layer, extra layer, extra layer. Alright, so having too many layers, especially around the eyes, is going to make your client's eyes feel a little bit heavier, feel a little bit thicker. She's going to feel the makeup more. Alright, so I like to leave the eye bare, for now at least. Once I've got the foundation done, I can then go in with a little bit of my eyeshadow primer, which looks like this. Okay, and you really do not need a lot of this product. Okay, you'll see on my spatula that little white smush. That's more than enough for both eyes. Alright. So that I'm going to mix in with some of my foundation. Your eyeshadow primer is a self-setting product. So by mixing it in with my foundation, it's going to set the foundation at the same time as even out the skin on the eyes. So I'm not going to have to go in and powder. Alright.
So I'm assuming that the primer will then help the eyeshadows stick better, or?
Yeah. So your eyeshadow primer is it's got a few functions. It's going to help your eyeshadow color stand out better. It's going to help with the durability of your eyeshadow, and it's going to prevent the creasing.
Okay.
All right. Dermacolor fixing powder. All right, you guys know the dermacolor fixing powder. This powder is very special in many ways. Each powder particle is coated with an ingredient called magnesium myrostate. And basically what that function does is it's the waterproofing agent of this powder. Alright, so by applying this powder to any foundation, you will make sure that it is waterproof. But don't dust it on with a brush, make sure you're pressing it into the skin. Alright, so you're going to just gently press it into the skin like that. Now it looks a little bit scary, it looks quite white. Okay, but it is completely translucent. Alright, so we're almost going to, especially with the heat and the humidity here, we're almost wanting to bake a little bit. Okay, just to make sure that it doesn't slip and slide and disappear. So we're going to leave a slightly visible layer of powder wherever we go that we will come back and dust off at a later stage. Alright, so the longer you leave your powder on, the more water resistant your application is going to be. So we generally advise to leave it on for about 5 to 10 minutes maybe. Okay, just to make sure that it actually does set properly and waterproof. Okay, especially on your oiliest areas, your T-panel generally is the hardest area. So I do find that leaving that area a little bit more baked.
So does that mean you don't sweat a lot too?
look, it can't stop your sweating. Essentially, that's a natural function of your body, but what it will do is it will prevent your makeup from being sweat off. Alright, so you'll still sweat, but you'll sweat through your makeup instead of sweating off your makeup. Okay. This is also an excellent powder to use if you are doing, for example, an underwater shoot, a beach shoot even, if your model's going to be on the beach in the water with her hair or whatever. So this is an excellent powder to use to make sure that her foundation stays where it's supposed to stay. Alright, she looks a little bit funny, but not full on. Alright, so we're going to say that that's been on her face for about 10 minutes. She's now fully waterproofed, and I can just dust the powder off. Okay, so you can see it doesn't make her go grey, doesn't change the foundation undertone, but it does just set. And we use a very, very small angled brush, like that one. That one. And my V3 Natural Variety palette. Okay, so this has got all of your matte natural tones in there with a nice deep chocolate brown as well as a black. I personally don't put black onto the brows ever. I find that it can look a little bit hard, so I will generally go for a really nice dark chocolate brown. Okay.
What's the name of the palette?
V3 Variety palette. I'll generally always start underneath to create my frame. I should probably just hold this in my hand instead of walking up and down 100 times.
Are you going to be using any other variety palettes?
Yeah. And possibly V4. Alright, so I feel like that's a pretty good frame.
So when do you use powder for your eyebrows?
Why?
Which look? No, on which look?
Every look.
Every
I prefer doing powder for brows. I find it does offer a much more natural look. It's a lot easier to work with as well. I know some clients like to use the HD cream liner, which is in cocoa, which is a nice chocolate brown. The only thing I do find with that is that it can sometimes be difficult to clean. Alright, so I prefer to use a powder. I mean, I was taught with a pencil, but for me, I find a powder just to be a little bit easier to work with, a little bit easier to clean. Okay, it is also important to remember to create the fade into your brow. Okay, you don't want to have a block eyebrow. And I find it's always nice to extend the brow a little bit further than it would naturally end, just to sort of elongate the eye a little bit more. Alright, just going to turn you a little bit so everybody can see better. So I'm going to use my V6 Variety eyeshadow palette, which looks like this guy. It's got a really, really nice collection. You've got some shimmer tones at the top, your peachy browns in the middle, your plums, as well as your dark browns and smokies. Alright, so I'm just going to close your eye for me. Going to choose a color that's quite close to her skin, just ever so slightly darker, just so I can focus on my transition shades. Okay, remember this is a look for work, so we don't want to go too glam to the office.
So you start with a lighter color or a darker color first?
So I've started with a medium tone.
Okay.
I'll go in with my lighter onto the lid and the dark color onto the crease. But for the first shade, I just want to create a really, really nice soft transition.
It would be nice for you to also try with hooded eyes.
She does have
Oh,
quite a
she
nice
does?
hood, yeah.
Yeah.
So with that, you're almost wanting to recreate your crease. So where you place your contour color, that's going to now become her defining socket area.
So do you have any specific way of knowing where to put the crease?
Generally, your client's eye will tell you where the crease is. However, if your client does have a hooded eye or maybe a droopy eye, you've then got to use your discretion. You've got to sort of start analyzing the client's face, her bone structure, what you're trying to emphasize, where you're trying to emphasize. You've got to remember that dark is going to pull back and your light is going to push forward. So I'm creating a crease here to almost sink the hood in, if that makes sense. And then by adding the light color onto that area, that's going to push it out. All right, so that's going to then define her crease. You would basically follow the same principle for any client, regardless of if they've got hooded eyes, really beautiful big eye space. You just got to follow your client's own natural bone structure. You can see here that that's where her actual bone structure is. All right, despite the fact that she might have a slightly hooded eye, her orbital bone is still in the same position. So that's where you want to focus. Mixed with like an antique gold. And I'm going to place that onto this area of the eye. Okay, you'll notice the colors that I'm going for are all sort of soft, natural tones. I'm not putting in pinks and purples and blues and yellows. Okay, depending on where you work, that could be a little bit out of sorts. So I'd always rather go for something a little bit more natural. Okay, so once this has set, you'll see I'll rub my hand, it's not going to shift. All right, one thing with this, please do not put it onto the waterline. Okay, the pigment is too strong. Okay, so it could irritate the eye. All right, so this is definitely for your actual liner on top of the eye.
So with that pencil, you still use a brush?
Yes. Because I'm such a germaphobe and such a hygiene freak, I feel that I can't apply this directly onto the eye and then keep it sterile. All right, so I do always prefer to rather use a brush.
Just like the lipstick.
Yeah. All right, this also does give you a nice sort of a smudgier effect for a day look, as opposed to that perfectly sharp winged liner that'd be great for an evening glamour look. Obviously, if it's your own pencil, you do what you like with it. Okay, so that's just giving you a nice sort of subtle eyeliner look. But you can then take the same product, look up for me, up and that way. Okay, and brush it underneath the lower lash line.
What's the name of the brush?
This is the angle brush number 63806. Alright, I was saying to some of the ladies yesterday, obviously we know as a professional artist, our client care is of utmost importance. So whilst I am lifting the brow gently, I'm not yanking the brow up. I'm not holding her head like this, okay, because she needs to be comfortable with my service. Alright, so you can gently lift the brow up to do what you got to do, but just be gentle. Remember, you are working with somebody's eyes, and I think eyes are probably the most sensitive area on anybody's face. Okay, she's actually got lovely lashes.
Wow.
Oh, look at that. I do have a bit.
Are you still Gillian?
You can really see the effect. Whilst it gives you a beautiful, subtle color, you can see a little bit of that product there. The minute you start buffing it and really working with it, it intensifies that glow. Alright, so what that does is it literally flattens those particles, which makes it a more solid reflective surface. So don't always necessarily just add more product. Okay, buff it first, see if it's going to give you the effect that you want, and if you need extra, then add a little extra. It's always important to remember, adding is easy. Okay, taking away, not so much. Alright. Can you guys see that glow effect there? Alright. Now we can also add some to the nose. A little bit onto the forehead. Okay, remember we're not going out, so we don't want to have it too hectic. That'll come after tea. And then something that I always feel is very important is your Cupid's bow. Okay, so this is our combination pencil. One side is brown, one side is black. I'm just creating a slight
The
ombre.
contour combination pencil.
Yes. So this side you got your brown, and then that side you got your black. Alright, so those are really nice and convenient little pencils. Okay. Now the product that I'm going to use on her lip is called Lip and Cheek. Alright, this product is a nice natural product. It's sheer. Okay, so it's not going to give you a hectic color. So you can use this on the cheek as a really nice subtle blusher, as well as obviously on the lip as a natural lip tint. Oh, just by the way, the little black liner, sorry, I forgot about that. It is not, I mean, there's not even any transfer. Like, it literally does not shift. Alright, so that is a really, really good investment for anybody that wants a liner that lasts.
For the people that don't like to use powders for eyebrows, we have actually tested a couple of the gel liners in different browns, different tones of brown for eyebrows as well. And those are going to be released probably early next year.
So then you can go swimming and not have to worry about your brows coming off. So that is basically a day work look that I pretty much like to do. So it is quite sort of subtle, it's still there, you can still see she's wearing makeup, she's made the effort, but it's not loud, it's not that should be enough.
Natural. You're a celebrity.
Green liner for the brows, for the liner which is there.
Wow. Talk about a glow.
Oh, you ain't seen nothing yet. You feel like a celebrity.
Yeah.
Paparazzi.
Paparazzi or Joe?